the fastest reply is usually the most costly. The moment you rush to answer, you've already surrendered your advantage. Machiavelli had no mercy for men like that. He mocked them as puppets, too eager to dance, too blind to see who was pulling the strings. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the fastest reaction is a trap, and how mastering the pause makes you the one who decides how the game ends. Machiavelli's warning was simple: never be predictable, and never be the first to respond. In politics, in courts, in war, the man who reacts first lays his cards on the table. He exposes his state of mind, his impatience, his lack of leverage. The strategist does the opposite. He watches, he waits, he allows his rivals to reveal their fears, their ambitions, their level of control. Only when the picture is complete does he move, and when he does, it looks less like chance and more like inevitability. That isn't hesitation. It's precision. It's the art of bending outcomes by mastering yourself before touching the board. And in our world of instant messages, viral outrage, and cheap emotional bait, this skill is rarer than ever. The ability not to react has become the modern version of armor. Reaction, on the other hand, is surrender dressed as strength. The moment someone provokes you into a response, they've already stolen something: your balance, your detachment, your right to choose when and how the engagement happens. That's why provocateurs never fear the impulsive man. They laugh at him, because he is predictable. Every insult drags him into noise, every rumor forces him into defense. He exposes himself without even realizing it. But they do fear the one who stares through them, motionless, the one who listens and gives nothing back, who with silence alone delivers the message. You're not worth my energy. Not yet. Machiavelli's power was never built on speed. It rested on discipline, the ruthless ability to remain still while the storm spread, knowing that the chaos was corroding the enemy, not him. He understood that the battlefield always rewards the patient observer, not the frantic actor. History proves this again and again. The fool reacts instantly, shouting for justice, rushing to defend, begging to be heard. And the master? He waits. He watches loyalties shift, positions open, and only when the ground tilts decisively in his favor does he strike. The one who moves first must gamble, he must act without knowing the whole map. That is why seasoned generals always bait their enemies into striking first. The attacker must commit blindly, and once committed, there is no way back. The same holds true in arguments, in negotiations, in every arena of influence. The man who reacts first not only shows his cards, he locks himself inside them. Reacting first is nothing more than gambling before you've even seen the table. But delay rewrites the game. Even a few seconds of silence forces the other side to squirm, to reveal, to stumble over themselves. Their confidence falters, their reach becomes visible, their insecurities spill out into the open. And in that pause you gain more than time, you gain intelligence. And intelligence is power. People expose themselves most not when you press them, but when you don't. Silence unsettles them. They fill it with words, trying to force your answer, and in the process, they overexpose their fears and intentions. Machiavelli mastered this in court. He spoke little, letting others drown themselves in their own assumptions. And when he finally did speak, his words landed with a weight their noise could never match. He didn't win by shouting louder. He won by letting others strip themselves bare. The same applies to your life. When someone pressures you to respond immediately, don't. Make them wait. Make them sweat in the discomfort. Let them reveal the game they're trying to play. Timing is a weapon. Use it deliberately. To the untrained, a pause looks like hesitation. To the strategist, it's leverage. The pause before an answer makes your reply seem measured, not emotional. The pause before confrontation creates tension, and tension makes people doubt their own position. When insulted, don't rush to clap back. Hold their gaze. Say nothing. Let the silence harden. That absence of response often cuts deeper than any comeback, because they will replay it in their minds, an hour later, a day later, even a week later, wondering what you might do. Imagination punishes harder than reality ever could. Machiavelli understood that the fear of the unknown enslaves people more effectively than open force. He used time like a toxin, silent, invisible, but always working. First reaction means first exposure, which means first target. In dangerous environments, political, corporate, or social, the first to speak becomes the focus. The first to move becomes the standard. And the first to react often becomes the scapegoat. That's why real power doesn't chase victory in the moment. It seeks to win the dynamic. And the dynamic always favors the one who watches. Let them come to you. Let them strike first. Let them corner themselves trying to provoke you. Give them nothing until your silence is unbearable. And then, when you act, strike with such clarity and force that they realize you were never passive, you were waiting. Because control is more frightening than victory. If you lash out and win, people fear your temper. If you calculate and win, they fear your mind. That was Machiavelli's true genius. He didn't just want to be seen as dangerous, he wanted to be seen as untouchable, as the one always in control. Control lasts longer than force. It commands respect that fear alone cannot. It makes people hesitate, not only to attack you, but even to involve you. When your name is spoken, let it carry that weight. He never speaks without reason. She never shows her hand. But when they move, everything changes. And by the time you notice, you've already lost. That is untouchable power. To refuse the first reaction is not to surrender, it is to own the entire board. You force everyone else into frenzy, louder, faster, more reckless, while you remain the constant. The one who cannot be baited. The one who cannot be shaken. The one whose silence ends the conversation the moment he finally speaks. If this lesson resonated, prove it, not to me, but to yourself. A like or a comment is a small demonstration that you don't just watch, you move. The most dangerous men are not the loudest, not the quickest to react, not the ones charging into every confrontation. They are the ones who don't flinch, don't rush, don't move until the timing is theirs. They watch in silence, letting others waste energy, expose intentions, form shaky alliances out of fear. And when every card is on the table, they make one precise move that tilts the entire balance. This is Machiavellian patience, the quiet game of control that drives others into emotion while you remain untouchable. But it only works if you refuse the trap of reacting first. Ever. Ego is the bait. Your enemies prod it, poke at your pride, question your reputation, provoke you in public, because they know if you defend yourself, you've already lost. The moment you react, you've become predictable. Machiavelli's lesson was ruthless: never defend under pressure, never explain in the heat of accusation. The second you justify yourself, you've placed yourself beneath the one who accused you. A king does not debate with a beggar. A strategist does not explain silence. If they misunderstand, let them. If they spread rumors, let them rot. If they provoke, smile and give them nothing. Because nothing disorients the enemy more than striking into emptiness, than throwing blows that are never returned. This is the strength of strategic passivity. Ordinary passivity is weakness. But chosen passivity, deliberate stillness, controlled silence, is power disguised. It forces the world to lean toward you. Not because you shouted loudest, but because you became the immovable piece on the board, the one everyone must account for before they make their next move. While others chase the need to speak, to correct, to answer, you chase something else, the win. Let them scramble for status, you secure position. Let them fight for arguments, you master timing. Eventually, they burn out trying to pull you into the fire. And still, you don't move. Not until silence itself becomes heavy enough that, when you finally act, the strike lands as both tactical and psychological. This is the weapon of delayed response. Powerful men don't answer immediately, not because they lack certainty, but because every delay transfers weight to the opponent. Each second of silence is dominance. It proves you're not chained to anyone else's clock. You answer when you decide, not when commanded. In personal disputes, that pause before answering makes your opponent reveal more than they wanted. A day of silence after an insult makes them doubt if they overstepped. A week without comment after a rumor makes it collapse under its own weight. Machiavelli treated time like a surgeon's blade, cutting without effort. He didn't stall because he was unsure, he stalled because waiting always made the enemy wound himself first. And emotions? They're nothing but bait. Every outburst is a confession. Anger screams fear. Defensiveness signals insecurity. Excessive apology uncovers guilt. The moment you lash out, even if you're right, you've drawn a map of your vulnerabilities. You've told your opponent exactly what hurts you, what offends you, what you must protect. Machiavelli never gave them that map. He saved anger only when it was part of the plan. He let others rage first, so he could study their patterns, their priorities, their insecurities, the hidden fears behind their fury. And when he finally struck, it wasn't emotional. It was surgical. The rule is clear: let others feel first. Let them spend their emotions like currency. While they bleed control, you stay composed. Because the man who stays composed dictates the rhythm of the war. Unreadability is its own kind of terror. People fear what they cannot read. The face that never shifts, the tone that never changes, the man whose timing no one can predict, he is the one they dread. This doesn't mean being robotic. It means being untraceable. If no one knows what offends you, they cannot offend you. If no one knows what excites you, they cannot manipulate you. To be unreadable is to be ungraspable. And what cannot be grasped cannot be controlled. If you want to be untouchable, let others waste their energy trying to decode your silence, while you quietly study their desperation to break it. That desperation is your edge. Because when you withhold reaction, the burden of action falls on them. And people under pressure almost always overplay their hand. They reach too far, they talk too much, they move too soon. In their rush, they create openings that didn't exist until you forced them. So let them lie. Let them bluff. Let them build their trap too wide. You remain just outside its reach, silent, patient, letting them believe they've already won. And then, with one quiet, well-placed move, you shatter 1,000 noisy gestures. The highest form of not reacting first is this: carrying it beyond personal clashes and using it to command entire groups. Machiavelli was not just a strategist of individual games, he was an architect of whole environments. He could bend factions, councils, and courts to his rhythm by speaking less than anyone else. Reputation, he showed, is built through stillness, not noise. Most people think influence comes from visibility, constant input, loud assertions, endless fighting to be noticed. But Machiavelli knew the opposite: the one who speaks least, and moves most deliberately, owns the room. Silence, when chosen, is not passive, it is loaded. It makes others second-guess their words, crave your approval, wait for your verdict. And when you finally break the silence, even briefly, every voice falls quiet. Not because you're loud, but because your restraint gave your words weight. The man who reacts first is always tied to the flow of the conversation. The man who waits is the one shaping its direction. That is how you establish authority without ever raising your tone. Every room hides an invisible hierarchy, not the one on paper, but the emotional map: who sets the pace, who others seek approval from, who they imitate. You don't win that place by dominating, you win it by withholding, observing, then speaking when the ground is already laid. When the stakes are high, fewer words carry more force. Sometimes the wisest move is to say nothing for 20 minutes. Let them show their motives, expose their insecurities, reveal their loyalties. Watch who seeks attention, who positions themselves, who betrays anxiety. Only then, when someone throws out a bold claim or an accusation, do you speak. Not immediately, wait a beat, 2 beats, let the tension sharpen. Then cut with one line, one precise angle. That alone reorients the entire room around you. Let others build alliances first, then quietly split them apart. Alliances form quickly in every circle, but most of them are fragile, founded on gossip, shared enemies, or shallow bonds. Let them link arms. Let them think they are strong. You nod, stay polite, say little. And when you notice the crack, you press lightly. A whisper in the right ear. A subtle observation that undermines trust. A delayed remark that makes one loyalist question his leader. If you attack too soon, you become the enemy. If you wait, if you let their weaknesses ripen, they will unravel each other with no trace of your hand. Empires rarely fall from direct assault, they collapse from a seed of doubt, planted by someone no one suspected. Stay neutral until choosing a side pays the highest return. In hostile environments, the pressure to pick sides early is constant. The weak rush to choose out of fear, fear of isolation, fear of seeming uncertain. But the powerful never rush into division. They let the lines harden, let tempers flare, and remain unplaceable. This creates 2 effects: both sides court you, and you alone gain the power to tip the balance when it matters most. Machiavelli's entire method rested on this: let others fight, then lend support where the reward will be greatest. And if both sides collapse, it is better still, you walk into the ruins with clean hands. Silence does more than shape perception. It shifts blame. In any group, the one who reacts first absorbs the heat. The one who says little, whose intentions stay unreadable, becomes the figure others project safety onto. When tension climbs, do not rush to defend, to solve, to lead. Let the others scramble, accuse, excuse, and burn energy. When the dust settles, regrets surface. That is when you step forward, calm, detached, exact. You provide insight, not excuses. You appear above, not involved. And so the blame slides past you, the spotlight lands on you, and your influence expands while others recover from their own noise. If you are challenged, do not defend. That is reaction. A Machiavellian mind reframes the situation entirely. If someone questions your intentions, don't deny, recast. If I were emotional, I'd react like you just did. But I'm here to fix the problem. In that moment, you have flipped their attack into immaturity, and your silence into maturity. They look unstable, you look like the adult in the room. Every reaction is a snare. Every pause is a step upward. When you reframe instead of respond, you define the narrative the entire group must now follow. When you refuse to react first, when you let others clash, betray, reveal, and destroy themselves, your move lands with the weight of inevitability. Not because it's loud, but because it feels absolute. They've fought, flailed, and exhausted every angle. And then you appear, silent, deliberate, untouchable. Your words do not sound like opinion. They sound like judgment. Your actions do not look like ambition. They look like order reclaiming chaos. That isn't just survival. That is dominance. That is Machiavelli's rule. To understand it even deeper, watch the playlist Machiavelli on Power as Design, and see how timeless strategies of silence, patience, and control become weapons in your hands.